My watch says 6:30, so we're going to start it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. With that said, just curious, who remembers exactly where you were yesterday at 9 o'clock or so in the morning?
Where was I when it happened?
Yeah.
169 and 41.
I was walking out of high school.
Yeah, I was driving to work.
Exactly where I was.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like I was on 62 and 184.
Okay, got the agenda in front of you. I think there's an addition we want to make to the agenda. Make that 5.9, discussion of a resolution to encourage MnDOT to approve an access on Highway 25 for Casey's. So we'll add that as 5.9. Okay, with that addition, is there a motion to approve the agenda with that addition? Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made and second to approve the agenda with the addition. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, public comment. Anyone wish to address the council? Hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. We've got 4.1, approval of minutes for the August 22nd, 2016 regular council meeting. 4.2, approval of minutes for the August 22nd, 2016 work session meeting. 4.3, approval of minutes for the April 26th EDA meeting. 4.4, approval of minutes for the August 16th planning commission meeting. 4.4, approval of claims for the month of September, which includes a pay request number 8 for Heselton Construction, amount of $12,464.40. 4.6, approval of the check summary for the month of August, and 4.7, approval of the building report for the month ending August 2016. Any of those items need to be pulled up for further discussion? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and second to approve the consent agenda as presented. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 5.1, discussion on U.S. solar agreement.
Mr. Mayor, council members, the city received the executable agreement from U.S. Solar, and I sent the agreement to the city attorney for his review. It was recommended by Dave Hubers that Larry Harris review the document because he is so familiar with solar agreements. So I've attached Mr. Harris's comments to you. I tried to summarize in form what the 9 items were that he suggested for consideration, and so I'm wondering what the city council wants to do. I mean, he's saying we should seek one more proposal. He's saying that we're underwater in year 1 on the rates. He has concerns about the rates and the payments and the term because it's a 25-year contract. The city solar allocation, he's saying, may not be fulfilled because they are speculating that these are going to be built. Termination rates for U.S. Solar are greater than the rates of termination for the city. U.S. Solar can assign or sell the subscription with the city to another solar provider. Arbitration should be with American Arbitration, and then several exhibits are blank. So I think I caught the summary of his comments for you. So I guess I'm looking for direction on where you will go next and what you want to do.
Anyone have any comments?
I have no interest in being in this contract whatsoever.
There's a lot of unanswered questions after reading this, and even there's talk, about the grid system charging fees for these solar companies, and who's going to pay for that. There's just a lot of unknowns out there with this solar stuff yet, and I'm uncomfortable locking into a 25-year contract for the new council members coming in. I agree this is a lot of money to save.
What, potentially save?
Potentially, but with all these unknowns, I'm uncomfortable signing this.
Yeah, I think the potential savings they're not guaranteed.
No.
So it's, you know, I like the idea, and yet again, there's a few things there that don't quite make sense.
Do we need to make a motion to table this, or we just let it die at this point?
Well, I think that I think what I'm hearing you say is don't have any interest in entering into an executable contract, but that was the direction you gave me before.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that maybe you need to make a motion to, that you don't want to enter into it upon city attorney's advice at this time, so that we have that on record, because you've already directed me one way, you need to direct me the other way.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to, just drop the contract with not go further with the contract with US Solar. Any further discussion or questions?
Council, or the attorney didn't say, don't do this, right?
No,
No.
he didn't. No, he's just saying, these are the items that I think you need to think about a little bit more if you're gonna consider this contract.
Mhm.
Yes.
So doing this doesn't mean it's off the table in the future,
No,
it's just this particular
Company.
just this particular one, or if they,
contract or company?
Well, that company could still come back.
yeah, I think if they come back with a better contract,
Okay.
something better in the future,
Just
we'd be
clarifying.
open to discussing once again, but this contract as it is, I don't like the fact that we're underwater first year, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
We're supposed to save money on this.
That surprised me, 'cause he talked about how we were saving money and we're underwater.
Well, he made the statement here to us that we'd be saving money the first year, and, that doesn't make sense. So, any further questions or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Okay, 5.2 predatory or offender residency restrictions.
Yep. City Council had instructed staff to have a predatory offender residency restriction ordinance drafted for the city. Attached is the ordinance for your review. If the ordinance meets with council approval, a motion approving ordinance 210, predatory offender residency restriction would be in order.
I went through some of this and, okay, prohibited location of residence, it says within 1,000 feet of any school, public park, playground, but why only 500 feet of any childcare facility? I think I want them 1,000 feet away from there too.
This is up to you. You told me to use the one that they had in Watertown, that's what Watertown adopted.
okay.
So we just left it the same. So if you wanted 1,000 feet away from public playground, and we can make that change.
So can you go to the map, Jerry?
Yes, I can, give me a second, good.
So Watertown only went 1,000 feet.
Down in the agenda, it was there,
was it there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's in the,
Scroll at the bottom of the,
Oh, okay,
page 33.
it should be, see that, yeah.
yep,
right here, okay,
okay.
You're
I'm sorry.
too much. So are the circles on there the areas that the 1,000 feet encompass? That's
Yes.
without,
So the
Oh, did you
daycare,
know?
the daycare
Oh,
providers
yeah.
are licensed daycare with Carver County.
those are the ones you knew of,
So
so
that's
you
the
put
one,
that
no,
on.
actually, I contacted Carver County, and they sent me the addresses, so that I knew exactly who have daycares,
Okay.
yes.
And is there any state, legislature that,
Currently, there isn't, this was introduced only into either to the House, and there wasn't a companion bill in the Senate, which there has to be. But my understanding is that even though there isn't legislation, the league, would still defend us, because it's an ordinance. And if you read, there's other ordinances that we pass that don't necessarily aren't embodied in state statute, so we would be okay doing it, but it could be challenged.
but what I'm curious about is if there's state statute that protects the offender, that would override this. Did I read that right?
I don't think there is. I think there's a offender notification, but if the city or local unit of government has a more restrictive, I think you can have this.
Okay.
But there's rules on how they, my understanding is there's rules on how they place the offenders, where they choose to go,
Mhm.
where, and the notification, but this is only level 3s. This isn't 1
Right.
and 2s too, so.
So if I'm looking at this map, any of the circled areas would be off limits,
Yes.
okay?
I guess I thought that it would encompass more of the city.
If you make it 1,000 feet, it probably will.
For the daycares, you mean?
For daycare,
The
I mean,
daycare
it's
is-
already 1,000 feet
It
for
is,
the
yeah, okay, yep,
playgrounds and schools,
no.
so,
500 feet from any
Any
childcare facility.
Yeah,
Mhm.
right.
so 1,000 feet for everywhere else, schools, parks.
So why can't we make it 1,000 feet from the childcare facility?
You can, if
Okay.
that's what you wanna do, sure.
We just include that in, paragraph,
We just take the 500 out
yes.
and just leave it and childcare facilities. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So anything that's colored on there, okay, is that a little, the map is confusing to me. So everything that's a circle pretty much is an
Yes.
area, like all those at the bottom?
Down here, this would all be off limits
Yes.
then.
Yep, that, that.
This will help, would that help?
Kind of, yeah. There's just a lot of
Actually, all the
marks
green,
on it. So is this one of them?
all the green
Yes, because
spots
it's around the park.
are
Okay,
on the
there,
map,
there.
the parks.
Right, the green are the parks,
Mhm.
and the orange are the schools.
Yeah, I
And
just
the
think
red
the
are the daycares.
circles, I couldn't,
Yeah.
but this isn't one of them, or is it? Is this part of this?
Well, it's a
This
Dakota
right here?
Regional Trail, it's a park, so I would say yes.
Oh, and so you,
property land though, it's not part.
Well, some of it is. It says park playground is green,
so
on the key.
anything that has like a solid gray line, is
Well,
kind of,
it is.
they're just
Okay, I'm
very
sorry.
confusing.
No, go ahead.
I didn't even see the
No,
one around the trail.
I was gonna say they got a highlighted rectangular circle there.
Because it's a Dakota Trail.
You can see another one down here.
Yeah.
It's just,
Can I
you couldn't
have
see
it?
it quite as easy.
Oh, I see, here, it's all the way over here, okay, I got, so the whole trail is
Whole
Yeah.
trail where there's green space on either
Okay.
side.
Okay, that's a little bit better, but
And that's
there's just so
everything
much of
within
the
the,
city that's,
Yeah, but how is that even part, I mean, that's owned by the railroad authority, that's,
Well, it's park,
it's,
it's a park, it's a trail.
yeah,
Oh,
but it's owned by the,
Doesn't matter.
it's owned by the railroad authority, and what, managed by the park?
But it's park playground.
well, I think it's managed by Carver County Parks,
You know?
so,
I mean, I get why they did the 500 feet, because, you know, people need places to live, and I get that.
Here's this.
But I agree with you when you say that.
yeah, it is.
You might as well make it 1,000 feet. There is an
Oh, yeah,
exemption
it
in
is.
here
You
that
can
says,
tell the
if somebody
very
has a,
few-
has a
that one,
resident,
Right.
established
very
residence
few things
prior
happen.
to that
Right.
date, then they can
But,
live there.
Right.
So we're just as far as I'm concerned, we're protecting our
Sold
community.
the parks.
So I would agree with you on the 1,000 feet.
and there are still spots left where they can live, I mean,
Yeah.
not that I
Not many.
even advertise that, but,
Yeah, no, that's, I agree with you.
Let's get a
Cul-de-sac.
daycare in here. And one here.
one very little hole,
yeah, well,
right here.
that's,
Yep. Your
You can see
daycare.
on this one better, Gary, I think.
yeah, okay.
So that's,
And that'll change a little bit because of the home daycare.
Well, if they notify us, yes.
yeah, this one's a lot better to see.
Yeah,
That's your copy
But
is
they're
off of
still,
that.
you know, we're moving out here.
right, I mean,
None of
these
it's
areas,
covered. Where's this in mine?
right,
Big orange spot up
That
there in
one?
the corner.
Oh, so that was, wow, okay. But their land goes, doesn't their land go all the way out here? Just because there's not a building there, that's their land, wouldn't it?
yeah, their land goes,
If it says facility though in the ordinance, maybe we have to add land to it, but you're covering most of it anyway.
well, there's some ice down here though, right there,
Oh, what is this?
this is Fieldstone.
And this is that's the soccer field.
Oh, that Lutheran High
Yeah.
owns.
Right, that's the land that they own.
Okay. Well, yeah, it still isn't. Oh, so this is the rest of Fieldstone, what's coming.
Right. And you know, out here, there's a daycare, but they aren't in the city limits. Scott Worm's wife, I believe, has a daycare on that 62nd Street. So,
Yeah.
Well, but
Well, we
if we,
can only regulate what's
we
in the city limits.
right, we can't regulate outside the city limits.
Mhm.
but if we just make it uniform 1,000 feet across the board,
So then this one will get bigger,
Mhm.
this one
yeah.
didn't need to get bigger, but this one will get bigger.
Mhm.
I get that there needs to be some available,
Well, there is,
but
there's a few available.
I'd like to make it as hard as possible.
That's,
I wouldn't look at it that way, I think we're just doing what we can to keep our community safe.
yeah.
I think you've done a good job on this, Luann.
Oh, I didn't, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
so let's, okay, is there, so do we wanna change it to 1,000 feet then across the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, any other discussion on that ordinance then?
Just keep putting up parks, as long as the developments keep growing. 'Cause there's nothing else, I mean,
Well, there'll probably be parks out here, that'll impact that then too. So once you get the parks out here, that's gonna extend that coverage still more. Okay, is there a motion to approve that ordinance with that change?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the predatory offender ordinance, with the change to 1,000 feet across the board for all facilities and so, et cetera. Any further discussion or questions? If not, okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Okay, this stuff that Luann included, that I put together, what I just explained it real briefly is, I got this from the county assessor's office that simply said that our residential, and this is for taxes payable 2017, our increase, our residential, had an average increase of 7.33%, and the overall total value increase, or taxable market value increase, right, was 6.63%. And the reason I did is I wanted to know, okay, where we were with our, last year, the budget we approved, we had a tax rate of 58.91,
Yeah.
0.5891, 58.91%. If we dropped our tax rate by 5%, 10%, 15%, this was Luann's original first rough budget that she put together, what would happen to the total city taxes for various homes? Okay, this one says hard numbers. This one is in fact, this is my lot. This is our home here. We have an increase, our taxable market value have increased 4.85%. If we drop our tax rate by 5%, my taxes go down $3.12. If we drop them by 10%, my taxes go down $45, 15%, et cetera. And the reason I want to do this, I want to know what kind of rate we could drop so that basically we would give everybody a drop in taxes, and yet we could do some work with adding on another full-time public works person, because I think we are overworking Kyle with 1,800 people and one person. I think that's a little bit, asking too much. And a few other things that we need to consider. Going on to this one here, this is also hard numbers. This was somebody that shared their information with me. Their rate went up 5.95%, dropping their taxes by 10%, they're still saving $60 a year. So basically, the 10% drop kind of offsets the increase in water rates that will be coming to, we'll put the new water rates at the second level of those water rates into place. Okay, going down, another one is another hard numbers, is someone that shared it with me, gave me the information. Their 10% drop in tax rate will save them $95 a year. I then did a few hypotheticals. One was the 6.63% average that this county had given us. 10% drop there saves us $54. And then I even did one real extreme to, basically to come up with a high level to achieve an average. That one, there's no change at all, or very, 89 cents, so it's no change. In theory, statistically, probably the highest increase for residential taxable market value would be about 9.4%. That, if you look at the numbers and, do some working with them, and at that rate there, a 10% tax rate reduction would be $22.25 savings. So we could drop our taxable market rate, our tax rate, drop our tax rate by 10% or 11%, something like that. Virtually everybody's gonna get a drop in their taxes for next year, yet we're gonna come up with slightly more money because of the increased market value and so forth that's being used. So it's some way to work at this budget process is what it amounts to. I think here, this is just some calculators which I just added in there, but, so that's what that's for, just to give me a handle of where it was. Okay, if we drop it 10%, I'd hate to see us drop it all the way down, because we've got to think about our public works person. We had a $50,000 item last meeting that hit us in the face, that, we need to have some cushion there. We can't cut it that close all the time. So that's what that is, to come back more in a discussion on the, I guess we're gonna approve at the next meeting we do the.
Next meeting, I just need
So,
to know.
have we have any questions about that?
Yep.
Or is the next meeting we need to approve
We have to set the levy.
set the levy?
So how does the 5 to 10% add into the levy numbers?
Can
Well,
we pull out that tax rate calculator?
yep, right here. Okay, the budget that Luann has in our packet tonight, right?
Right.
Okay, that has a total of $932,572, and that includes a public works person
Correct?
and a few things for the EDA and things like that.
And the additional, patrol that you wanted for night
Right.
patrol, that's in here also.
Right. That puts us at a rate of 51.65%. 51.66 is a 12.3% reduction in the tax rate. If we change this number by $5,000, to $932,572, we make that 937. What was it? 592? 572. 572. This becomes 52%, and 52% is an 11.5% reduction in our tax rate. So, the 11.5% reduction in tax rate is 1.5% more than the 10%. So we're actually saving our residents a slight bit more, and yet we are funding a public works person. We're funding the various things, plus we're getting another $5,000 cushion in there for next time we have a lift station that goes bonkers on us, so we need to spend $50,000 to fix it.
Do we have, the rate that we ended up with last year?
Yeah,
And I had given you the wrong rate, so I need on that when it was, but it was like 58.19.
58.19.
So I apologize for that,
And is that just the cities, or is that when the county's done too?
Well,
Because
that's
when
the
the county's
city.
done, it
That's the
goes
city.
up.
That's the city.
The county's always went down.
That's the
Or
city.
county.
When
That's
the
city.
county's done, the end rate ends up going up.
Because the school district goes up.
School district.
Right, so I'm just saying,
Right.
But we need to
So
concern
we can
ourselves,
only control the
we
city
can only control the
portion.
city.
right?
We can only control the city, and,
But, so the 58 was just the city.
City.
right,
Which we've held pretty steady over the last few years.
Yes, you have, yes.
Mhm.
so we're able to basically, if we go down to 52.01, like this one right here, with at this rate, we are seeing an 11.5% reduction in the tax rate, which is a considerable reduction, which is, I think, would be If you see if I see a 10% sale, that gets my attention. Okay, so 11.5% reduction is going to basically give all of our residents a reduction in their city taxes. And what to basically offset that raise in water, which it was supposed to do. Our goal was to offset, to get that bond paid on the water so that we can lower our tax rate. So we have accomplished that. So if we go with and then we also gives us the public works person and the extra patrol and things like that.
You're gonna have to sell me on the public works person, I think. Do you realize what kind of, what kind of services we're gonna see that we're not getting now?
Based on when we had that flooding issue and stuff like that, I think we're asking Kyle to do an awful lot. I think we're asking Kyle to do an awful lot for 1,800 residents. We maybe with an extra person, we may not need to have, we maybe get by without hiring McKinsey in summer, as far as that's concerned.
Yes.
And he can do
Yeah,
that.
that would've taken that away.
Yeah, that
So
would-
really, it's just like hiring.
So you're
And
gonna have
so-
another part-time.
Right, and then the other thing is that we've added time on for Tom for cleaning here. But if we end up hiring a person, that person can maybe do some of that janitorial work too.
Yeah, did you watch the meeting from last?
I haven't had a chance to.
Yeah, so I'm sure Kyle and staff could come up with
Oh,
a list of
Yeah.
why
Yeah.
I'm
why we
quite-
need another person.
I guess I'd like to, I'd have
You know,
to
so
see
there's
that.
like things that he wants to do, for example, in the parks, he can't always get everything done in the parks he wants to do. He wants to redo posts and paint the signs. There's weeds on the streets, it's all very subtle things that you don't realize right now, but he's got so much other stuff to do, trying to keep ahead, that couldn't do, there's so many more things he could be doing.
We be able to get rid of some contracts and stuff that we're doing by,
Excuse me?
if we hire, another full-time person to dump some contracting services that we're
Oh, I
currently
would think
using,
I think we
The
could, yeah.
janitor, we could.
janitor.
He
okay.
wants to paint all the fire hydrants. Kinsey can only do so many of those, and that, there's that stuff to be done too that hasn't been done. So,
He just started basically going through a list of things, and we decided that it was time for a
Yeah.
full-time person, and he could probably stay busy, all year round, and, get Kyle to start focusing on the waste treatment. And,
There's things that Greg wants
get
done.
Kluver,
Out.
yeah, not really out,
Yeah,
but
well, yeah.
Kluver
Progress
out,
us
but-
to the point where we
yes,
don't need to
yeah,
contract,
and that was the goal
Oh.
with Kyle.
Yeah,
So this here is showing, what did you say, 11.1?
11.5% reduction.
Okay. And the first one you had was showing a 12.1?
$5,000 probably does make that much of a difference, yeah.
12.3.
12.3.
Yeah, the first one was, the 932,572 is a 12.3% reduction in our tax rate. 11.5% is this one right here.
And is this primarily due to the growth that we've seen?
Yeah,
That, and then we saw some reduction in what we levy on the taxes for the sewer, because we had more hookups from the houses, that too, so.
yeah, I guess first I'd caution doing too much of a decrease, because if we do some now, we have a better chance to be able to do another decrease next year, and just makes it
Kinda what we did with
palatable.
the waters, instead of raising it all at once.
And then the other thing is too, that you have the opportunity in December to lower this, so maybe you wanna add more than the 5,000 to it too, but make that cut in December, in case there's something else you think of that might come up. I don't know. Just a thought.
I feel we
That's
haven't
true.
spent as much time on the budget as we did last year, in just that one work session. So I'm nervous to just go low right now, and,
well, I would agree with that, and we've got the,
I mean, I like the 10%, because then everybody, it looks like with, all the different market research you did, everybody benefits from it.
Mhm.
We're not just dropping the bucket off and then have to do like an increase next year because we have all these unforeseen costs.
The extra value came up, right. As long as values hold.
Right.
I did go through the budget, and looking at your memo, Luann,
Mhm.
you're showing $49,671 for streets.
Mhm.
And it sounds to me like we could divide that salary amongst utilities because there's potential that he's gonna be helping Kyle in both the water and wastewater.
You might be able to, I don't know that you're gonna be able to, because Kyle will probably be doing more water and wastewater himself, but that you could, when that person is hired, you could make that determination, or you can leave it as it is now. Between now and December, we can have a work session and discuss what this looks like for sure.
Well, I don't have a problem with that. I'm real comfortable with the first number, the 12.5% savings, because I think there's a little room to move some of these numbers. As I look through the budget like that, if we split part of his hours up for water and wastewater, because there's a lot of stuff that Kyle's doing at the water and wastewater plant that really should have two people involved for safety.
Yep.
So there's potential this guy's gonna spend a considerable amount of his time learning to put meters in, learning to do those other tasks, so. And if we're trying to push all our expenses towards the water for visibility, then we could make them adjustments later.
You could see what your tax rates look, or your sewer and water rates look like. Once you get to setting those rates, then maybe you won't want to adjust as much to sewer and water.
Well, and I think you can look at it the first year and maybe not do that until
Well, or you hire him in March and
Well,
it's only
but-
three-quarters of the expense.
because you've already said he's gonna
But,
paint fire hydrants, which is water related.
Yeah.
Okay, and the levy we're gonna set, our initial levy here next meeting, as Luann, I think, stated, we probably don't wanna cut it too close, because we can always cut it back
In December.
down in December, get it down to that 11.5% rate. At this point, we can set it higher, and then we'll have some work sessions going through the budget and going through.
I'd feel more comfortable, I'm all for lowering it. I just think that we need to really dig a little bit deeper as a group and talk and make sure, and look at the water rates as well to see what that change is gonna do.
So maybe an October work session becomes just budget.
Yeah,
So we've got October, and then you've got November yet to have another work session if you need to, before you adapt it in December. Does that make
Good.
sense?
okay. And I'd be more inclined to say we should, if anything, at this point, try and come up with a number here, or have Luann come up with a number here that puts us at just a 10% reduction right now. We can always reduce a little more later on, for our next meeting to discuss then and to approve that. We can always, there's a little bit of trimming going on. We do our trimming now, we cannot raise it. Once we start this preliminary level, we cannot raise.
Yep.
So that's, we don't wanna back ourselves into a corner. So maybe Luann can look a few more things, we can get together some for our next meeting then.
Okay.
For
Well,
preliminary
you
levy.
have to have it for the next meeting.
Yep.
Because we have to
Yeah.
certify the levy by then. Okay. So
Any
you're
other-
saying you just wanna see a 10% reduction, is that what you're
I-
saying?
Or less.
Well, I think, let's start with a 10% reduction, see where that puts us. So 10%,
Most years we start with an increase.
It's so nice to come in here when we're
Right.
talking increases, and this year we're talking about,
So
cuts
what are you
at the,
thinking?
right at the beginning, so that's a good spot to be in.
I don't know the exact, wait here.
So right now, what you got on this, budget history, in,
Mhm.
53.
right now, it would be at about a 12.3% decrease, right?
I didn't do it in percentages, I don't know. Whatever the levy came up at,
That's
with
what,
it at 51.65,
Yeah.
so, yes, whatever it is from.
isn't that what you had up there, Jerry?
Okay, I'm just trying to get a number. I'm sorry, give me your question again.
It was 51.65% that she had at, for the
Right.
That's
general
what,
levy.
Luann was a 12 Luann's, what she has listed here on her city administrator's report
Is it 12%?
is 51.66, and that is a 12.3% reduction. Okay. But if we go at this number, we cannot raise it in December. If we come up with something that we find we need to levy for, budget for, we cannot raise this number in December. We're better off raising this number now and lowering it later.
Yes.
So if we raise it $10,000, that's about 10%.
That's not,
It doesn't work that way, Bruce.
no, it does,
It's,
if you raise it, okay, I wanna get to 53 points, okay, so 950. There's 52.8, okay, from the information I put together, a 10% reduction is a 53.53 tax rate. Okay, so if I'm gonna try and achieve that, I need this to be at 53.0, so I'm probably looking at, looks like 955. That's a little high, 952.
around in there.
So 952, there, 53.0. So that would be something would be a good number to start with as far as our preliminary levy.
Okay.
This would give us, even if we were to leave it there, we'd be looking at a 10% reduction in tax rate for next year. Okay. If we lower this in December some more, we drop, this will drop, and then we'll get closer to 11.5 or 12% reduction. So, my thought is, 952 would be a good starting point, and we go from there. That already is giving us a 10% reduction in tax rate. And the 10% reduction in tax rate, from what I looked at and the figures I had, it will give every property owner some reduction in taxes. And I'll go through those numbers again to make sure I'm right on them, but
I don't mind starting at this, I think we still have room to shave off.
yeah.
So that's what I'll bring the levy back at,
Okay.
952, that's what the resolution will be for the next meeting to certify the preliminary levy.
Yep.
Okay?
Okay, so that takes care of, 5.3 entirely, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, truth in taxation, approval for date for truth in taxation?
Right. City is required to hold a meeting to allow the public to discuss the budget and final levy. The date must be between November 25th and December 30th and be held after 6 p.m. Past years, the city has held this meeting as a part of the first regular meeting in December. Staff is recommending that the meeting be held on the first meeting in December, and that date is Monday, December 12th, 2016 at 6:30. A motion approving the date and time of Monday, December 12th, 2016 at 6:30 for the truth in taxation hearing is the request.
Is there a motion to approve this, date?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second that.
Okay, motion made, second, to approve the, truth in taxation hearing for December 12th, 2016 at 6:30 p.m. Any further discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. 5.5,
Mr. Mayor, council members, Casey's, the lot that the city owns, 314, Ash Avenue South, is actually zoned public institutional. In order for Casey's to move ahead, the lot needs to be rezoned. They had their rezone and their site plan on the last planning commission meeting. However, there's some changes that need to be made to the site plan. So the city can wait, if you want to do the rezone, or you can pass, the ordinance to effectively rezoning this back to commercial industrial. So if you wanna wait till the site plan comes in, you can do that, if you want.
I'll make a motion that we, rezone it.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made, second, to proceed with rezoning of the lot to commercial industrial, was it?
Yep,
Yep.
commercial industrial.
Okay,
It's ordinance 211.
okay. Any further discussion or questions? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, 5.6, the NR water supply study.
Mr. Mayor, council members, all public water suppliers in Minnesota that operate a public water distribution system that serve more than 1,000 people and are all cities in the seven-county metropolitan area must have a water supply plan approved by the Department of Natural Resources. Water supply plans are updated every 10 years, and the city mayor's update is due December 31st, 2016. City staff's proposing to complete the water supply plan, but may need some technical assistance from the city engineer. I had requested a not-to-exceed fee or time limit from the city engineer to do this, but I would like to have a discussion with the rest of you about this DNR water supply plan. I happened to get ours that was done from previously, and Greg Kluver had completed that one. So I think that we, as city staff, can complete this water supply plan. We may need some technical assistance from the city engineer, but I don't think we need, his proposal was almost $10,000. So I think we just do it on a time and materials, and you give me a not-to-exceed number of $1,000 or some amount, and we'll do most of the work. We can do most of the work ourselves, I think.
That makes sense to me. Any discussion, any questions?
Well, I agree, we need to do it, so, I mean, is $1,000 enough? Is $1,000 enough to?
I guess it depends on what, I guess it depends on what we're being asked to do, but, that seems low to me. I'm guessing you'll want more technical assistance than that, but, you know, whatever you think, I mean, we'll help you out anyway. You know, when we had originally looked at it and been doing these, we figured about 2 weeks of staff time if we were to do it for you. So, you know, I mean, $1,000 is about 10 hours of staff time.
Did the DNR not help write some of
Yes.
these plans at one time?
Yes, there's a template that you have, and all you have to do is fill the information in. So since I got the old template, I can just take a lot of that information and fill it in, and then like the high users we get from our Banyan system, we can, all the information that we need for, the water, on how much water we've generated, we get from our DNR report. So, I mean, we were gonna provide all that information to Dave. He had provided me with a list of what he needed. I thought, my goodness, if we're gathering all this information already and we have the template, we can probably do it in 30
This is the
money.
template. It
Yeah.
ends up being about a 75-page document when you're done. So
Right.
again, I'm not saying staff can't do it, but it is a time-consuming effort
Right.
just to take that information, and even if you have it, just to
Plug it in.
plug it in and get
But I
something
think
that's usable.
if Greg Clover did it last one, I think he's still here, we can,
We can use Greg too if we
Yeah.
need to. Yep.
I'll make a motion to have city staff complete the majority of, or complete the application or the report, and then if you need to seek additional assistance from the, city engineer, an amount to not exceed $5,000.
I'll second that.
yeah, motion's made and second to do the water supply plan in-house and, to request engineering fees not to exceed 5,000. Any further discussion or questions?
5, you said?
I mean, I'm fully confident in the fact that if you need help, you'll get it, and if you don't, you're not gonna, so, that seems fair.
Okay. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Okay, 5.7,
The resident, it's interesting that we had this conversation have to come up about hydro seeding, because I had contacted Madeline Swedlin with, Soil and Water Conservation to find out if there was, when we talk about water conservation and conserving water and not putting so much water on yards, is it better to hydro seed than to put down sod? And she couldn't find any information for me on that. But this resident of 5115 Harvest Curve is requesting to install hydro seed instead of sod at their new home. The request is attached to this memo, which I attached for you so you can see, but the city code requires sod. And I think that, I'm requesting that you approve the hydro seeding. I think they get a better better grass. I think the sod, the reason we sod is because it gives them an immediate product right away. So if they're willing or wanna do hydro seeding, I think it makes sense, they'll use less water when it comes time to keep the yard going, because the sod does require more watering, hydro seeding doesn't.
I think we used hydro seed when we redid the Ball Diamond one, didn't we?
I don't remember
On a
type,
lot
that
of
was
it.
before me.
Maybe we sodded the infield, but then when we redid it, I think it was a hydro seed. However, I'm assuming that there's better and lesser grades of hydro seed. And so if it's done, it should be done with a higher grade or something put into the agreement. Because whatever they used in the park and along our lot there, when they did the wetland restoration, is atrocious. It's like mostly bare, and what is growing is weeds. So I don't know, I mean, if there's something that we can say to people that, if we do allow the hydro seeding, I get it, I get the conservation thing, and, I mean, and especially that the sod probably isn't gonna go down, fast enough in the fall, but, I just think there needs to be some type of guidelines.
Well, do we hang
into
on to
place.
the landscape escrow for a year until we make sure the yard's growing good? I mean, that's what we can do, 'cause we have $1,650 that we keep on the building permits. They won't get that back right away then. That would be an option.
I don't know, I just think they need to be,
Unfortunately, we're going into winter, September into October, and hydro seeding,
It'll wash away.
you can put it down and it covers it up until spring. It's not gonna grow. If it does grow, it'll kill the seed because it won't establish the 1 inch or 2 inch height required before it freezes. So it'll kill it. I don't know what that date is, do you, Dave?
It's sometime in September, I believe, or, there's a window that you either gotta get it done so that it has a chance to start getting established and it can survive the winter, or you gotta wait so that it's dormant and sits
Yeah.
there until spring. Basically, we follow MnDOT specs on that kind of stuff, so, if it's something where you wanna provide guidance, we'd basically just pull it out of, one of our specs for the street jobs. Really, the hydro, the mulch component isn't necessarily different, it's the type of seed that, you're putting down.
And how do I know if we can control somebody by saying, hey, you have to buy this kind or buy that kind, can we say? Or
Well,
just
no.
like,
Well,
hey, I mean, that's,
If they're gonna hydro
you're
seed
gonna
it,
hire whoever.
It's the amount of seed and fertilizer that you put in the tank when you're mixing it.
Yeah.
The mulch it lays over the top is just the amount that you put in there. So the more you put in, the thicker it is, the better it is.
When we first moved in here 12 long years ago, I asked my builder about that sod, and he's like, no, you can hydro seed it if you want. We hydro seeded it, and it didn't take, so we ended up, and then we found out we couldn't do it anyway, so, we were lucky enough to get our money back from that person, but, we had to sod it, it didn't work.
I hate to set a precedent, letting someone do it, and then all the neighbors have to live with it
Yeah.
all winter
wow.
and all spring.
And I guess I'm concerned if we're beyond a
Have to
date
be
when it's gonna
done.
be successful anyways, then we're already setting some
if we're beyond,
failure, so.
if we're beyond that date, that's one thing, but I'm fully in agreement that we should allow this because, we're always making a point of saving water and water conservation. Sod takes a lot of water. Sod takes, when I had to redo my street, when the street construction, it took me 5 years of watering on that sod before now it finally grows by itself. Okay, when Zion did their addition, that was hydro seeded. We watered it that year. It's the only time it's been watered ever. It is growing fine now. It was never watered since 2013. Okay, you can't do that with sod. Sod won't do that. We're wasting water.
Okay.
Did you
Okay.
shoot that in the fall?
No, that was, well, about August, September. That was September when we hydro seeded it.
But then would we have to go back and change the ordinance to, I mean, 'cause right now we say as long as you put
We'll have to address the ordinance.
you put the number of trees in and everything else, we'd have to add in there, if you hydro seed, you have to have grass growing for how long, and we'll keep it,
Well,
we'll
I
keep
mean,
your
put a
deposit
date
for
in,
how long.
date in that history hydro seeded by was it September 15th? What's the date that MinDOT usually uses? I mean,
Well, and I think what you're saying though is, when they sod, we go out, we look, it's green, we say,
Yeah.
okay, you've done everything, you give them their money back. If you hydro seed it, there's some period of time before
You know, if we've got a problem.
grass is coming up and you're convinced that you've got,
Okay.
and what is the,
Zions was hydroseeded around the first part of September, and by the middle of October, it was nice and green.
as I say, typically,
We were
you know, when we have like a street project or a city project where we spec it out, there's a 30-day
Yeah,
period
so,
that we,
yeah, we could put that in, or we could even
that
put
the
that in this,
contractor's responsible.
in this, request, sure, we could put that in too, that has to be green within a certain length of time, or they will need to sod it, but, and that would be more incentive for them then to
Yeah.
sure, it's important to keep that hydro seed wet, keep it moist, but once it grows, it grows.
So there's nothing, if I put sod in, said, hey, come look at it, you give me my money back, and I just let it die, there's nothing we can do anyways either way.
That's right.
As long as it's in and it's green when I go by.
So if they plow this hydro seeding off and it's a mess in the spring, are we gonna be able to go back and?
Well, I say we just don't give them their money, their escrow,
Until
until
Proven.
it's,
Just don't get your escrow until it's green.
until it's green.
Well, that has to be written in the policy then, or the.
Yeah.
Well, you'd be in your
Well,
motion, I'm asking you just to make a motion tonight to vary from the ordinance, and then we can talk about it this winter, and if you even wanna change it, maybe this becomes the one that you say, okay, yeah, this was successful,
This is
something
our
you wanna
test.
do,
And
or no, we don't want to, we tried it and we don't like it, I mean, I
But
think-
even if we do a variance from the ordinance tonight,
Yeah.
I'd like to have some of those conditions put in
Yeah.
place.
and
as
that,
part of your motion,
I could
yeah.
live with that we
Yep.
give them a certain number of days that has to be green, and we withhold their escrow until it's green. But I think for us to say, I don't agree with saying we're not gonna allow it, because that's one of the things, we got signs up, conserve water.
Mhm.
So now we got a chance to conserve water, it doesn't make sense if we're not going to do it. I see that some of my garden last year, I just see that it's kept it wet, it's growing better than my sod ever grew. So,
You know, well, two things with it is really what the city's trying to accomplish. One, you're trying to get something established so that the nuisance to the neighbors and weeds, there's a kind of a curb appeal piece of this that you're trying to get covered. The other thing, more from the city's standpoint, is getting the thing covered so that you don't have erosion and sediment control, or issues that sooner than later, we want that thing established so that it doesn't become an issue that way.
So I think, I wouldn't have a problem with hydro seeding if they did the backyard, you know, it's the front yard and all the neighbors and the street. That's my biggest thing up with it, so, you know.
Any other cities you guys work for allow hydro seeding?
I'd have to look, but I don't, I know that it's not uncommon in places where that, I have homes in my neighborhood where they've hydro seeded the yard, I know that it's done.
Okay.
And again, you know, some of it, to me, you're putting some faith in the people that own that house, that they want a nice green yard just as much as anybody.
Also,
And
yeah.
and that, if there's an issue, that at some point it becomes an issue between them and their person they hired to do that work, whether the sod's dying or their grass isn't growing, that I would think everybody wants the same end result. You just built a brand new house, I would think that you want green grass.
Mhm.
and I guess the difference between a nice green lawn and hydro seeding, the looks wise, a curb appeal, I don't see any difference between that and a nice green lawn. I just saw it this last week, a house that's, I think in foreclosure now, grass is this tall, it's not lawn, it's not cut, I'd be upset living next to that house too.
Mhm.
And that's, the curb appeal is also there too, so
Mhm.
I think the two of them are,
So I was texting Nate, and he said 1 to 2 months for hydro seed, so either 30 days. Then he said you can seed all the way up to the middle of November. And the seed will just go dormant and will start growing in the,
Do people already have erosion control up around their perimeters when they're building?
Sometimes,
What-
yes, yes, you're supposed to.
That
They
would be
should.
another thing
Yeah.
that is in my mind that would need to be done. I mean, 'cause there's nothing to keep it from rolling right out into the, wherever. The pond
Yeah,
could
and
then
that may be
grass.
something we need to add to it, that because of the nature of what's being done, they need to maintain erosion control
Mhm.
for that 30 or 90 days, or 30 or 60 days, whatever it takes to.
Well, they can actually put an erosion control blanket on it too, and that will take care of that.
Where are
And-
these guys at? When are they ready to?
I think they want it done like now. She called me on Friday afternoon and wanted, wanted to know if I'd approve it, and I said, if you get it to me by, or Thursday afternoon, whenever it was, get it to me by tomorrow, I can get it on the agenda for you for Monday, that would be great, because I don't think that she wanted to wait 2 weeks.
So I think the immediate issue is to try to if that's what we're gonna do tonight, and then start tearing that policy apart
Okay.
and, you know,
I see it as a work session item, that's what I think.
with some, professional input,
Mhm.
you know, put into it so that we do it right.
And I'm totally fine with approving this and with making a stipulation, we hold their escrow until their lawn is green and established. I mean, that way they have to water it too and keep it damp, because that I understand is important, but once it's growing, it grows.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually fine with it too. I am concerned that the quality or whatever they put in grows nice and thick like grass instead of weeds and what we have up at that park.
I mean, I would hope if someone's building a new home, that they would want a nice lawn.
Yeah,
But if they're putting stuff down and they don't know what they're doing,
Yeah.
like him.
Yeah,
well, the weed control is something that's ongoing.
With
Well,
that,
that- yeah,
put that
hired
in
a-
the
Yeah,
motion,
but I
do
mean-
not hire Eric Motor to
yeah,
do that.
I didn't do it, I hired somebody to do it.
Like whoever he hired.
No, there's a
Technical
difference
advice on
in
what
seeds.
not to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
There
yeah.
definitely is a difference in
Yeah.
seeds.
Well, what they forgot with us was they were gonna come out and fertilize it, and they didn't do it twice.
Sure.
And that's why they refunded us all of our cash, because I was like,
Mhm.
you never came out. And
Mhm.
they said, yes, we did, and they said, well, where's the little signs that you're supposed to put in the yard saying you put chemicals in my yard?
Oh.
Maybe we didn't do it, okay.
Which was the lesser of two evils.
Yes,
Give 'em the money
probably,
back or get sued.
exactly, so. I don't know, I'd like to say no, but I mean, I think everybody made a pretty good argument here to at least try it. Hoping for the best.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we allow this with the stipulation that the escrow will be held until the lawn is established, which would be at least probably 45 days minimum, 60 days, till we can inspect it, see if the lawn is growing properly.
And do you want that to, do you wanna include stuff about erosion control?
And that they do maintain some sort of erosion control.
I'll second it.
Okay, have a motion and a second to, give this approval with those stipulations. Any further discussion?
You said 45 to 60 days,
Does that bring us into this?
it's gonna go dormant,
Yeah.
and it won't grow until
Depends.
spring, so
Yeah.
what happens if it doesn't grow?
It's gonna growing by,
Should
it's not
be
gonna be
almost-
going dormant in the middle of October yet.
I don't know, it would start snowing,
Maybe mid-November. It could.
I mean,
Well, if it does,
would
then
it
we'll
be-
hold the escrow until spring.
Are we
Then they-
okay, I mean, would they be
Well-
okay with that?
I'll let her know
I
that.
mean, I guess if we were to hold it, say we'd hold it until,
Well, actually, they don't get it back from the builder until the builder puts the whatever in, and then the builder gets the money and the builder returns it to the homeowner. So it's money that goes to the builder.
Yeah, I guess,
I mean, any
That's it.
apprehensions I have would be gone if we were to say, spring of,
yeah,
17.
well, that's,
Well, as long as it's in and established, well,
that's fine. I'm fine with that too.
So we're changing it to be withhold till spring, the escrow?
Because of the timing, withhold this escrow until spring, to make sure a lawn is established in spring.
Okay?
Okay, any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carried. Okay, 5.8, approval of additional costs for the pedestrian in the crosswalk signs.
Mr. Mayor, council members, the city has finally received the approval of pedestrian crosswalk flashing signs for Highway 25. MnDOT's requiring that the signs have a push button, and they cannot be a constant flashing, they have to be push button activated lights. The cost for the push buttons for the two signs is an additional $780 for the signs and $290 for the push button. This would be an additional $1,070 times 2 for the two intersections. Additional cost for the two intersections would be, the total would be $2,140. So this puts the total cost for the pedestrian signs at $8,220. That's not installation nor poles, plus the cost for posts and staff time. Staff's requesting approval on the additional cost of $2,140 for the pedestrian signs. So I just wanna know what you wanna do, if you still wanna have them installed or what you wanna do.
What was our other option? Not flashing?
Yeah, well, they already are up that aren't flashing. There are pedestrian and the crosswalk signs there. Another option you have is to put the signs that we had in the middle of the road on the other side of the fog line, so that they're
I'm done with
Or-
wasting money on those signs.
I'm just telling you, it's
So
another
you're
option.
saying you have to have a push button just for the little LED lights on the,
Yep.
So that
what
it
about
comes
this,
on.
so are they doing that for stop signs, just so that doesn't, they're not on the state highway though, 'cause
Right.
Is
Well,
that
if
where
you're
they
doing
can get by
flashing
with
signs,
them
I get
flashing
it.
all the time?
People, if they're flashing all the time, people just stop seeing them.
Right, that's what they said. They become
So
ineffective.
I mean, I know it costs a lot of money, but I mean, I'm sorry, I've experienced almost getting nailed.
We're looking at $8,220 plus the installation cost. We don't know what it's gonna cost to directional bore underneath the highway, do we?
We have to directional bore the
Not
solar.
just
These are solar,
for-
Kyle will
they're
install.
solar powered.
yeah, what about the,
Aren't there push buttons on both sides?
Right, so there's one on each sign.
and how does it activate the other
There's
signs?
a sign on the other side.
Well, I
So
don't-
only one light will flash, you push that one,
Oh,
so
I
that
don't
turns
know.
on and.
Yeah, I don't
You'd have
know.
to have signs on both, you'd actually have to have 4 signs
Maybe they're
for it to.
Bluetooth.
I don't know the
Yeah, I
answer to that.
wonder, yeah, maybe they're for that, right?
Do you want me to find out
You better
about
find
that
out for
and bring
sure.
it back?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
unless they're radioed somehow together,
Wi-Fi.
yeah.
Can we use our citywide Wi-Fi?
Well, and maybe you do
What's
two and you have to put
Wi-Fi?
them on both sides, do
Jay
one
Wire was here, we-
walk and see if it helps. And then budget for the next one.
Yep,
next year.
I'm kind of more for just one, probably that one down by, the new addition and budget for, I mean, I don't even know, where's all this coming from? We've already spent
Taking out a street.
on the streets.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just, find out what's
Yeah, that's a good point.
really necessary there.
Yep, okay, I will.
Good, okay. Okay, that's it, anything else for
I
your
know we have the
information?
Casey's,
The
Yeah, the
resolution.
Casey.
the
Oh.
5.9.
Oh, Casey, that's right, I'm sorry, yep.
5.9, an entrance off of Highway 25
Into Casey.
Casey's.
Yeah.
Just think it's in the city's best interest to help Casey's get traffic in and out of there if it's possible. It's another business for the community. I think if there's any way the mayor in Luann could draft a letter,
I think this would actually be better, being a resolution from the council.
Resolution.
I think it's
There
better.
was a lot of discussion at the planning commission meeting about this, and, you know, a lot of talk about the potential bypass that's coming through town, and, you know, here we are, we're gonna not let access here, and eventually they're gonna have the bypass around later on, it's not gonna matter anyways, you know, so it was a lot of topic of discussion. I think it would be a great idea to at least contact MnDOT. I think the reality is they're probably not gonna care too much, even if we send them a letter and ask, but it can't hurt to try.
They're pretty, I would say that they're generally, they stick to those, their guidelines unless there is another alternative. So
Yeah.
that will be I guess the question is knowing that there's good access off the city road there, the visibility still, you'll just have to try to craft the letter,
Well,
to make your case.
we could do a resolution and then have the mayor sign it, and I can put it in your packets for the next meeting and get it off to the right people. that
Although
need to
if
go
we
to
can get, it would be nice to get it out
Yeah.
sooner.
We
if
need to get it out
can.
sooner.
Uh,
No, I'm saying we can get it drafted, you sign it, we'll send it right away, but we'll bring
Oh,
it back so you
okay.
guys can see what we
Yeah.
drafted.
Yeah,
That's
thank
what
John,
I'm saying.
What are,
And, you can also bring up maybe if they could slow the traffic down a little bit
Right.
to 30 mile an hour,
already tried, we're already in the works on that, yeah.
They are. They've already done a speed study, and they're supposed to be moving the speed limit out further south, yes.
You know, it's convenient for the residents to get in and out of there, but I'm looking at a lot of the trucks that pull in over here, you know, and it's gonna be hard to maneuver through the site to get trucks in and out, trucks and trailers. So if there's a way we could help
Yeah, I agree.
get that second access off of 25 would help.
Are they still, basing their purchase contingent on certain things, or?
And I emailed the person at Casey's today, and she didn't respond to me, but I understand from John Anderson that Casey's is gonna challenge MinDOT about the entrance. So, I don't know.
So maybe a resolution from the city would
Help.
help.
Yeah.
And I suppose, I mean, our city's input may be just, it's a business, it helps our business climate, it helps
Mhm.
our residents, and it would make things much more convenient for them, so.
And the biggest thing is, and I don't know if I've seen where they're proposing that access on the Highway 25, but just trying to get a decent amount of separation between the traffic coming out of the industrial park, wherever that access would be, you know, that's gonna be a key, otherwise you start locking up the traffic movements with those, if they get too close.
If we kept it farther to the,
Push it
Farthest
as far
to the
north
north.
as
Farthest to the
you
north,
can,
yeah.
and I don't know how
I
it
think it
works
is.
for 'em.
I think
Yeah.
that's how they proposed it.
yeah.
That's even closer to the crosswalk, so.
No, to the
No,
north
to the
of
north
here.
would be
Oh,
further.
oh,
Yeah.
this way, oh, yeah, that is.
Move it away from there. Maybe they'd wanna purchase this land with us.
It might also be helpful, maybe the other county commissioners and Jim Nash do the same. See if they'll support it.
Could contact Jim, that would,
Jim or Tim is,
Tim Lynch, yeah.
Jim, yeah, that may be.
Well, why don't, maybe the city needs to pass a resolution, and then
Yep.
we'll call those two and see if
Yep.
they can put a
Help
word
us.
in with MinDOT on our behalf as well.
I'll make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign a resolution to forward to MinDOT about the importance of this access.
So we
to
have
Casey's.
we're not gonna see the resolution? We're
No.
just going ahead?
And then that's what I was saying, you guys give us the authorization, and then we'll get the resolution drafted, get it signed, we'll get it off to them like within the next day or two, but
Before
we'll
the
see it in your
next
next
Yeah,
batch.
Casey's just gonna be,
Right.
would encourage them to provide the access to Casey. We can even put it in that we
Sure.
prefer it's farthest to the north side of the lot,
Mhm.
so they know we're thinking about it too, and that just would aid our business climate and so forth, and see what they say. Okay, was there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for this resolution to support the entrance for Casey's. Any further discussion or questions? Not all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, any council reports?
My gallbladder's out. My house was out, I don't know that.
What's that?
My gallbladder's out.
Oh.
That's why I was gone to the last meeting, but other than that, no.
Really? Are
Not
you
that-
lighter? Don't you love
I
that?
do, I have a little more
Yeah.
sleep,
Oh,
getting
my.
aerodynamic now.
Just a question, we had talked once about getting Jaguar Communications here.
And they came,
When they
remember?
came, yeah.
Well, that
And then
must
what?
have gone then. Did they
You
come
might
in?
have been, yeah, they did, they came.
They
John,
came.
John
they
came.
They just can't do much yet,
No.
right?
And then so I needed to get them in contact with the developer, so I put them in contact with Paxmar, so that they can get some line to them for
Because,
the new homes.
I mean, they're overlaying Norwood now with fiber.
Mhm. But they didn't think they
It's all
would
about
come here
customer
because,
base.
right, it's customer base, that's what they said. Yep.
We need to get more citizens interested in being customers.
We
Yep.
got
New
70
one.
lots coming in.
And
Because
just-
they can't go over Newtel's something or the other, right?
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it has something to do with Newtel, the existing contracts, and then that's why he wanted to be in contact with the new developers, or the people developing the new, because then they,
Okay, I wasn't here for that.
I didn't think there was a franchise agreement. It was
Something
just
to
the
do with
fact
the
of
existing.
overlaying
yeah.
the old community
Yeah.
to get the wiring in there.
Mhm.
but it's so expensive.
Yeah, he had something like that.
So it wasn't anything to do with contracts, it was the expense of getting the wire in. But if they had a lot of people on that street that wanted it,
Then
they'd
they
be
lay it
more than
right
happy.
away. They lay it
What
right
it
away
is.
in
So I
the
can
new
talk to
one.
all my neighbors from the fire station all the way to my house,
Mhm.
see if they'd all
That would be
switch.
fantastic.
Oh, I would switch to Jaguar pretty quick.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but then they'd
Okay.
have to lay in the cables over what we already
They
have.
do in other
there.
towns, so.
And that's why he wanted the new ones, because they can just lay it in there
Right.
right away, and then if we contract, it was something like that.
They don't have as much conflict with the old.
Mhm.
Okay.
Can we have mosquito control come out again?
They've been here every week. And you can put in a request if you want, but I,
They have a
they've been here.
website.
Yep, the MMCD or whatever it is, they have been here sometimes twice a week.
Lots
They're
of
bad,
people.
oh, they're bad
They're
everywhere.
bad.
They're
They're
bad all over.
I know,
The
but
country.
I haven't
bad,
seen them
period.
for a while, I
They
guess.
come at night,
Yeah,
they come at night, that was
Yeah.
something else.
I usually can
That was
see
at
them
night.
or hear them, 'cause
Right.
they're bumming.
Flashing lights.
Did the park board decide not to put the ropes in the volleyball court now?
No, we've ordered them, they're here, Kyle just has to get them in.
I see people out there playing all the time, so that's kinda cool. And then, is there an update on the shelter? Is it here?
No, we just got the specs and stuff for it, so Kyle will be working with Tom, putting the concrete down, we can't put it up till the concrete footings have been put in the pad. The shelter can't go up for a while, after that, the concrete has to cure, so.
So that's not, and then how about Discovery Park, where are we on that?
He's, got the, curbing is in, and he's doing reclamation around the edge. Hopefully we'll have pictures tomorrow night for the park board of where he's at, and then he's ordered mulch for it too, so.
Cool. And then at the next meeting, can we just put on the agenda, something to do with city staff, like an update with Janelle on where she's at, how she's doing, is she staying?
Sure.
Okay, anything else?
The pipe under the road to the wetlands from our neighborhood, is that working the way it's supposed to, and?
Well, he wasn't here the last
Oh,
meeting.
yeah.
From Hidden Creek across the road, we've concluded that we can take the orifice that's in that structure out now, and so I'll be working with Kyle. The thought was this fall, when the water levels go down, that we'd have somebody go in there and, basically jackhammer that, restriction out of there, so that we can get a little better flow through there.
Gotcha, thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn? Second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.